So before we get into the video, let me ask you this. Have you heard of Chat GPT?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I have.
Yeah. So
I've played around with it a bit.
Yeah. So this video is Jordan Peterson's take on Chat GPT. And then I'm curious to see how you think what he says is going to affect the real estate market. So let's jump right into the video.
Okay.
How many of you clap? How many of you know what Chat GPT is? There are things, and everyone in the audience should know this, there are things coming down the pipeline on the artificial intelligence front that are just going to make your hair stand on end within the next year, because there is so much transformation going on in that domain. And that's been the case particularly for the last 6 months, that it's almost unimaginable. I figure a third of the universities will go broke in the next 5 years. So I'll tell you what Chat GPT is, just so you know, because you need to know this. And I don't know what sort of technological revolution this is. It's smarter than you. This is a big deal. So this AI system, it's a general language processing model, was released about a week and a half ago. And I went and interacted with it. It's an AI system, artificial intelligence system. It basically is trained on, well, a massive corpus of spoken or of text. So it's derived its models of the world from the analysis of human speech, essentially. It isn't using real world data yet, but that will be happening certainly within the next year. And Chat GPT analyzes a very large corpus of text, and that corpus is growing all the time. Now, it's already sophisticated enough. I went on to it last week and I said, okay, some of you know I've written these books, 12 Rules for Life, and then Beyond Order, 12 more rules, because, you know, you can't have enough rules. And I asked it, this is what I asked it to do. I said, write me an essay that's a 13th rule for Beyond Order, written in a style that combines the King James Bible with the Tao Te Ching. That's pretty difficult to pull off, you know. Any one of those things is hard. The intersection of all three, that's impossible. Well, it wrote it in about 3 seconds, 4 pages long, and it isn't obvious to me, for better or worse, that I would be able to tell that I didn't write it. Right, and okay, and that's pretty impressive, but the fact that it could do that grammatically perfectly, right, and quite impressive philosophically. I also had it write an essay on the intersection between the Taoist version of ethical morality and the ethics that are outlined in the Sermon on the Mount, which it just nailed, got that dead right, brilliant. Again, it took it about 3 seconds. There was a computer engineer who purported to work for Tesla. He asked Chat GPT, he said, look, I work for Elon Musk, but I haven't been doing much for the last week, so I need you to write me 10 bullet points about what I probably would have done as a engineer at Twitter. What 10 things did I do last week that were productive and valuable? And oh, if you don't mind, write me the accompanying computer code that goes with each project. And it did that too, 3 seconds, and the computer code works. Right, and so, okay, so that's already there. So then a university professor did this. He thought, oh, that's interesting. Any student will be able to write any essay on any topic with Chat GPT. And someone gave it an SAT, by the way, and it scored about as well as the average student in a well-functioning public university. So that's how smart it is. So that's basically an IQ test. He said, write me an essay, gave it a topic, wrote the essay. He said, now grade it. He said, if we can automate the students, we should be able to automate the professors too. And so it provided a complete, comprehensive analysis of its own essay with grade. It wrote, someone else asked it, write the screenplay and describe the characters for the next $900 million Hollywood blockbuster. It's like, bang, plot, characterizations. Then someone else took the descriptions of the actors and said, generate photorealistic computer images for each actor. And all the AI systems could do that. So I'm going to tell you what's going to happen next. This is going to happen this year. So get ready. Okay, so now we have an AI model that can extract a model of the world from the entire corpus of language. All right, and it's smarter than you. and it's going to be a hell of a lot smarter than you in 2 years. So you can get ready for that too. But it's not that smart yet because it's just a humanities professor at the moment. It doesn't test its linguistic knowledge against the real world. That's what a scientist does, right? You come up with a theory that's linguistically predicated, and then you throw it against the world and see if it sticks. And then the world tells you whether or not your linguistic construction is valid. But the new AI systems will be able to extract out patterns from the world itself, from images and so forth, and then be able to test their linguistic constructions against the world, and so they'll practice just like scientists. And the most advanced models are going to use text and image and action as well, because they'll be able to model human action. And all of that's going to come down the pipes within the next year. So hang on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, because what did my friend Jonathan Pajot say? Giants are going to walk the earth once more. And we're going to live through that. Elon Musk, one of the things he's working on, he thinks that the world will be controlled by whoever produces the most functional AI system the fastest, because there'll be a first mover advantage. And one of the things Musk has been working on for a long time are distributed AI systems, so that you'll have your own artificial intelligence to protect you against, well, let's say against Google's artificial intelligence, for starters. Yeah, or the CCP's artificial intelligence, because you can bet your hat they're working on that about as fast as they possibly can.
So after watching that, obviously you said you played around with it a little bit.
A little bit.
What do you think that, first of all, how do you think an AI system like that, where you can just ask it basically anything and it can write you all this paragraphs and paragraphs of good stuff, how do you think that is going to affect just the workforce in general? How do you think real estate agents or people even looking into real estate, how could that affect the way things happen in the real estate industry? And also, as we transition more into AI stuff, which I'm just super fascinated with, how do you think, not even just necessarily like a chat AI, but as AI develops over the years, how do you think that's going to interfere with how business is done in the real estate industry, when you could just ask AI like, hey, where is the best possible deal right now in the market? And it could just pull something up within 3 seconds. You don't even need a real estate agent who has a bunch of knowledge. You just have an AI bot that could give you any deal at any time in the best possible market. So how do you think all that is going to affect real estate?
I don't know. I don't know for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, truthfully, I've speculated on different things like that over time. I've been intrigued about this for lots of reasons, right? I mean, over the years, and I had so I want to say it's about 5 or 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. I listened to a lot of audio and podcasts, things like that in my car. I think this was out of a research that was being done. It's about 5 or 6 years ago that one of the guys that had developed one of the initial computers that would come up, and it had sensors, right? And it had the little square head, computer monitor, miniature computer monitor with a face on it, like, how are you doing? And it was like, and the guy was saying, there's no way robots, I don't even think he was using the term artificial intelligence, but maybe, it's kind of taking its own legs. But essentially that's what they were talking about. And he's like, there's no way they can't sense their surroundings well enough. They can't, they'll trip over a cord. They won't understand it, Anyway, it left me kind of thinking, And what he was saying is that a human being is amazing. Like what we were built as, or created, or evolved, is that the way our eyes work, the way that we can focus, the way that we can sense things with our heat and cold and our different intelligences.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Intelligences.
our different levels of being able to solve problems has a need for all of us, and that's kind of what his argument was, even though he was one of the guys that initially was proposing this, right? Now, the GPT chat is language. Can it replace? So I've heard a couple arguments on that, and I've thought a lot about it, actually. And that is, what if the information's wrong? Now, I've been told, like, he gave some examples, like, and it did it right, and it's a hell of a lot smarter than you are. You know what I mean? And I love how Jordan Peterson talks that way, and how he's like, you're nothing, you're worthless, and you're miserable, and you're the only thing, your worst employer is your employee is your own worst employer. You know, I mean, you know,
exactly.
Sometimes that is the human experience. We all think that way. I've heard, and I actually tried to play around with it. There were some things that I asked it to do to see how deviant it could maybe go to. And it was, that's illegal. I can't do that. Right? So I thought, okay, well, they've got that on it. And I know that this is, I think, the third or fourth beta round. So, I mean, they've actually got it. So, I mean, obviously, anybody that's used an iPhone or any phone, and you go to text, even as you're typing, it will kind of like give the next,
guess what you're
the
saying.
next word, right? The next one that's going to come. And I thought, man, it's been listening to me for a while, and it doesn't quite get it perfect. But I asked it some tough things. I mean, even real estate, like, hey, I need to get a new marketing package out for an industrial property, and I need to get it out, you know, have some new ways to be able to present it. Well, it gave me some different ideas. I knew of all the ways. It just kind of laid a couple things out that I haven't maybe been using as much, right? So at the end of the day, I don't know who's going to be replaced. When he talks about the universities, I can't believe half the kids are going to the universities anyway. There's so much information online. There's going to be a need for engineers, I think a lot of medical, scientific, stem cell, I mean, stuff that's advanced, right? And how to implement it and do that. That's really what I've felt a long time the universities are for. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur and you're going to try to, you know, run a business, man, we live in a wonderful time for that. You know, we can Google and get a video of how to do something, and
go out and practice it ourselves.
And it's amazing, right? I mean, so we can see that, and life is trial and error. Right? So
for sure,
we learn the big lessons by making major mistakes. I wish it wasn't that way, but then I've embraced that, and I thought, you know what? We're doing this video thing. This is something I've held off on, right? I'll fall. Maybe we won't be a success because the content, right? Whatever. But I was like, hey, I'm going to fall hard, right? We're going to go into this hard. We're going to do this because I love real estate and I love doing it, and it's changed my life. How these things, I don't know. I mean, you look at this, and it could replace a lot of things. The worry that I have is what data does it have? Right? So, I mean, it could give you some wrong things. But if they make it so it's smarter and it's actually thinking, I don't know if that's what it's really doing right now still, right? I mean, we're always amazed with what computers and things like that can do. But at the end of the day, I've always felt like, right, at the end of the day, we get tired, we get worn down. So the thing about machines and artificial intelligence to me that's always, it's always there, right? It doesn't get tired. As long as you are cleaning it up and doing things like that, it'll just keep going and going and going, you know, and if you design it right?
Exactly.
We have to eat, we have to sleep, we have to go to the bathroom, we have to stop and do all these things, and so and we're finding ways to do less and less of that, right? Ourselves.